The blizzard had been raging for hours in Aspen, Colorado coating the streets in a thick blanket of white. The wind howled, rattling the windows of buildings and shaking the trees lining the empty avenues. Ethan Clark, the CEO of a thriving tech company in Silicon Valley, was driving cautiously back from a business retreat. His luxury SUV struggled through the snow, the tires crunching against layers of ice and slush. Normally, Ethan would have avoided driving in such conditions, but a meeting had run late, and now he was regretting every minute he had spent indoors, rather than on the road through the swirling snow. A movement caught his eye at first. He thought it was a stray piece of debris tossed about by the wind. But then he realized it was a small figure, barely more than a child huddled under a flickering streetlight. Her coat was thin and worn, and her little boots were almost invisible beneath the growing snow. Ethan slowed, carefully pulling over. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out, stepping out into the biting wind. His breath formed clouds in the cold air, but he ignored the chill, focusing on the little girl trembling in front of him. She looked up, her white eyes red and teary. "Mom said you're the only one who can help us," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the storm. Ethan felt his chest tighten. The words were simple, but the weight behind them was enormous. Who was she? Where was her mother? And why did she believe that a stranger could help? "Don't worry," he said gently, kneeling to meet her eyes. "I'll help you. But first we need to get out of this cold." The girl nodded, clutching a small backpack to her chest, as if it contained all she owned in the world. She led him down snow-covered streets, her tiny feet crunching in the fresh powder. The wind whipped around them and snow stung Ethan's cheeks, but he ignored it. His attention was entirely on her, watching her step carefully over icy patches, marveling at her courage despite her obvious fear. Finally, they arrived at a small, worn house at the edge of town. Smoke curled faintly from the chimney, but the structure looked fragile against the heavy snow. Ethan followed Lily inside. The warmth was faint, almost non-existent, and the interior was sparse. Lily's mother was slumped on a threadbare couch, pale and weak, struggling to lift her head. "Mom," Lily whispered, running to her side. Ethan immediately recognized the urgency of the situation. This wasn't just a child lost in a snowstorm. It was a family in desperate need. The storm outside raged on, but inside the tiny home, the first flicker of hope had arrived. Ethan realized that his presence here was more than coincidence. It was a chance to make a real difference. He knelt beside Lily, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Tell me everything," he said softly, and as she began to speak, describing their struggles and fears, Ethan knew that this night, in the middle of a freezing blizzard, would change both their lives forever. After listening carefully to Lily's story, Ethan Clark realized the gravity of the situation. Her mother, Maria, was seriously ill, struggling to work and barely able to keep the house warm. Bills had piled up, and the little family had no one nearby to rely on. Ethan's heart ached as he saw Lily clutching her mother's hand, trying to offer comfort she was too young to provide. The storm outside had created a physical barrier, but the real barrier was the invisible weight of poverty and fear. Pressing down on them, Ethan knew he couldn't just leave them here. He reached for his phone, though the signal was weak in the blizzard. With some effort, he arranged for immediate medical assistance. He didn't just call an ambulance. He contacted a doctor he trusted personally, ensuring Maria would receive urgent care the moment help arrived. Meanwhile, he looked around the small house and took in the worn furniture, the barely functioning heater and the empty shelves. Even in his executive life, Ethan had never confronted such raw struggle. He realized that money alone wouldn't fix everything. It would take careful planning, empathy, and consistent support to change their lives. While waiting for the doctor, Ethan spoke gently to Lily. "I'm going to help your mom, and I'm going to make sure you're safe," he said. Lily's white eyes lit up, a mix of relief and cautious hope reflecting in them. She asked him questions about his life, curious about the world outside her small home, and Ethan smiled, realizing that her innocence was both fragile and resilient. He promised to stay until her mother was safe. The ambulance arrived quickly and Maria was attended to immediately. Ethan rode along in the back, quietly holding Lily's hand as the paramedics stabilized her mother. Seeing Maria's condition, he felt a deeper sense of urgency. He knew that immediate care was only the first step. The family needed long-term support. Back at the house, Ethan arranged for the heating system to be repaired and ensured that groceries, clothing, and blankets were delivered. He even set up a temporary fund to cover monthly necessities, so that Lily and her mother wouldn't have to face another freezing night unprepared. As days passed, Ethan didn't just stop at providing temporary help. He connected Maria with a local job assistance program and arranged for her to receive medical treatment that she could manage. Long-term for Lily, he enrolled her in a nearby elementary school, making sure she had books, uniforms, and a safe route to and from class. Slowly, the house began to feel more like a home, rather than a place of struggle. The blizzard outside no longer mattered as much. Warmth and hope had started to fill the rooms. Ethan realized that this wasn't about charity. It was about human connection. Lily's trust had reminded him of the responsibility that came with his resources. In helping them, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, a reminder that the most meaningful work sometimes happens far away from boardrooms and balance sheets. That night, as he left their home, he looked back at the small light in the window. The world outside was still harsh, but inside there was hope. In that hope he knew was worth every effort. Weeks passed since that stormy night, but the bond between Clark and Lily had grown stronger with each passing day. Ethan visited regularly, checking on Maria's health and helping her navigate the new support systems he had arranged. Maria's condition improved steadily with proper medical care, and for the first time in years, she felt a sense of relief and security. Lily's laughter returned to the small house, filling the rooms that had once echoed with fear and silence. Ethan made sure that the family's home was fully restored. The heating system now worked perfectly, and new furniture replaced the old worn pieces. The shelves were stocked with food, and Lily had books, art supplies, and toys, a small world of joy and opportunity within their home. But Ethan knew that true help meant more than material support. He encouraged Maria to explore part-time work opportunities that suited her health, connecting her with a local community program that offered flexible jobs. Slowly, Maria regained not only her strength, but also her confidence. Lily, too, began to flourish at school. She excelled in reading and math, often talking about her adventures with Uncle Ethan. To her teachers and classmates, Ethan would spend weekends helping her with projects, introducing her to stories of faraway places, and teaching her about technology in simple, fun ways. Through these moments, he realized that helping someone wasn't just about fixing problems. It was about nurturing potential, giving someone the tools and confidence to thrive independently. One particularly snowy afternoon, Lily hugged Ethan tightly as he prepared to leave. "Thank you for everything," she whispered, her voice filled with genuine warmth. "You saved us." Ethan smiled, feeling a lump in his throat. He had helped them survive, yes, but in doing so, he had discovered something far more profound: the power of connection, compassion, and trust. His life, once filled with boardrooms, deadlines, and endless strategy meetings, now carried moments that truly mattered. Over time, the small family became more self-sufficient. Maria started a part-time job at a local bakery, earning steadily and regaining her independence. Lily continued to thrive at school, excelling academically and socially. The home, once a place of despair, became a sanctuary filled with laughter, warmth, and hope. Ethan's presence, while no longer required daily, remained a constant source of reassurance for both mother and daughter. As winter gave way to spring, Ethan reflected on the journey. A chance encounter in a blizzard had transformed lives, not only Lily and Maria's, but his own as well. Helping them had reminded him of the human side of life that no amount of wealth or success could replace. That night, as he watched the snow melting into glistening streams along the streets of Aspen, he felt a quiet satisfaction. In saving them, he had found purpose, joy, and the enduring bond of friendship. The storm had passed, but the warmth inside the little house and in their hearts would remain forever.